Welcome to The Individual Animal, a podcast about dogs, people, and animal sheltering. I'm your host, Nikki. My co-host is out today. She had to take care of some boss lady stuffs. I told her I would take the lead on this interview, which I'm happy to do because I'm interviewing a longtime friend of mine, Kate Hartlund. She will go over all of her experience in animal welfare, talk about some really great initiatives that she's doing at her shelter. So let's get right into it. Hopefully we didn't annoyingly giggle too much, but I think it's a great episode and we had a great time. So thanks for listening. Okay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see you, even though it's virtual.
I know, but so good to see you too. I think the last time
Yeah.
we saw each other was at the Best Friends Conference.
Yeah, last year. Will I be seeing you again this year? Do you know yet?
Probably not. I don't know yet, but probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed.
You know, me too.
Man, I just got back from Expo. That was pretty great.
Oh yeah, how was it?
It was really good. I took a ton of leadership tracks, which were super helpful for me to like realize the things that you don't think about when you're running really fast and also trying to like lead a team.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I feel like we're all running really fast right now, and it's just kind of the nature of the beast that we're in right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, for everybody listening, I know Kate from, transporting dogs, but also she came to our internship in 2017. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
So I know that's correct because I just looked it up.
That was like September of 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Because I just found out I was going to be a mom.
My gosh. Wait, so were you, I think you told me this, but did you know that you were pregnant when you came to the internship?
I found out like 2 days before the internship started.
Oh my gosh. So we didn't know, but you knew.
I just knew.
What a whirlwind to like find that out and be like, gotta get on a plane.
Right?
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. No, that was a fun time though. That was a really good week.
Yeah. So I think that might have been the last internship we did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then we stopped doing them, and then COVID happened, and then we never picked them back up. But this September, we have 2 internship scheduled, which is really exciting.
It's exciting. I want to come do one again.
You should come and like talk about something that you're doing now that you've like been through the ringer of animal welfare for so long.
No kidding. So yeah, when we met, because I think we actually met at the shelter first because I was working at Fulton County Animal Services for Lifeline, and I think you and Bernice came to pull dogs, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the internship. How did that come about? I don't remember, but we got dogs playing for life out of it.
Yeah. We've always wanted to support Atlanta as much as we can, so I'm sure we were like, send some people up.
I was very happy to be that person.
Did you get started in animal welfare in Atlanta?
Yes. So I had been working with dogs pretty much my whole life. I had started out in the doggy daycare world and was there for about 14, 15 years. And then I really decided that I was living in Fort Lauderdale, running a doggy daycare. And I decided that I really wanted to work with the animals that didn't have a home to go to and didn't have a roof over their head. So I started applying for jobs all over the country because at that point it was just me and my dogs and my cats. And I was like, I don't really care where I end up. So I started applying jobs for all over. I had a few interviews, but as is the world of animal welfare, most of them would not allow me to pay my bills.
Right. Fair. Yeah.
So I had applied for the kennel manager position with Fulton County and interviewed over the phone, spoke with Audrey, who's the director of Fulton County now. One of my dear friends, love her, miss her. And I accepted the position over the phone. Like we just talked, we got along. She offered me the job. I accepted, packed up all of my stuff in Fort Lauderdale drove to Atlanta. Luckily, my friend came with. She drove my car. I drove the U-Haul with all of my animals. At that time, what did I have? 3 dogs and 2 cats? 3 dogs and a cat. 3 dogs and 2 cats, I think, at that time. Got to Atlanta. Someone had cut the copper pipes out from under my house. Atlanta.
No.
Yeah, Atlanta in July, no AC.
Oh my gosh.
At first, like, we thought it was the thermostat, so I went to Walmart, got a new thermostat, changed that. So I ended up in a hotel for 2 days.
So did you buy a house when you moved to Atlanta? Because I was gonna ask, like, how did the rental
No, I was
happen with all
renting.
those dogs
And I
and
will
cats?
tell you, well, I was living in East Point, which is still an up and coming neighborhood of Atlanta. It's been up and coming for quite a while now. I literally found that place to rent 2 weeks before I was supposed to go. I was in a dead panic because I had nowhere to live. I was leaving in 2 weeks. Like, I had the U-Haul rented. I had quit my jobs. I was packing up. I was leaving, and I had no place to live. So I don't think I told him about the cats. I think I just told him about the dogs.
Been there, done that.
Right. So yeah, packed up, stayed in the hotel for 2 nights with all of my animals and my friend, and then that got fixed. Started my first day at Fulton, and I walked in, and if any of you have ever been to the old Fulton shelter, which Nikki, you have, I went, shit, I'm here now. This is it.
Going from a doggy daycare to working at Fulton is a pretty extreme change of
Right?
pace.
I mean, I walked into Fulton and it was a giant room with 35 double-sided runs and like 6 to 8 dogs per run and cages along the sidewall. And it was just like, I'm here now. But I jumped in with both feet, and they were super hard days, but I kind of felt like starting at Fulton. If I could work at Fulton, there is nowhere I couldn't work.
Yep. Yeah, the amount of things you had to overcome every single day there, it's got to be a piece of cake anywhere else after that.
And when I got to MADACC, where I am now, I walked in, I was like, every dog has their own kennel? What is this? Like, this is magic.
Yeah. Sometimes when I visit shelters and I walk in and they tell me they're full and there's empty kennels, I'm like, let me just show you this quick video of what's going on. It's a little bit south of us.
Let me show you full.
Let me show you what full looks like.
Yeah. So that's how I got started. I just jumped in with both feet, met some amazing people that I'm still friends with. I gotta tell you, the people that I worked with at Fulton are some of the best people I've ever met.
Yeah, you have to really, really give a shit if you're gonna work there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, you weren't working there for the paycheck, like, at all. You really had to love what you were doing because it was group housing. My office in the beginning was basically in the kennel. I always joke now that, like, my daughter Evelyn falls asleep to the sound of dogs barking because the entire time she was cooking, she was in a kennel with 400 dogs.
Right? That's awesome.
Right?
You get a noise machine, but just barking dogs instead.
And she's great with it. So I did that for a while, and then back in, this was shortly after the internship. I had my daughter in April of 2018, and then 5 months later, I was like, you know what? I want to move home. I want to move back to Wisconsin because that is, when you work in the animal shelter world, I would be at the shelter until 11 o'clock at night because what else was I going to go do? Go home and drink a bottle of wine? I mean, which I still did that, but like I could work late.
I was like, wait, you don't do
that? No, I still did that. I just did it later on in the day. So I was like, all of my friends were shelter people. We all had the same life. We were all dedicated to the shelter and to the animals. And I was like, I need to move home where my friends and my family and my tribe are to raise my daughter. So I planned on moving back. When you are moving to a specific area and you have a specific job skill, you're very limited to your options.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I had applied at the local Humane Society and was frankly told that I had too many opinions and too much of a personality to work there.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, well, you're not wrong.
Well, at least at least they were honest. At least you weren't stuck in a place that wasn't the right fit for you.
Right. Well, because they also pulled from Fulton. So I think I might have had a slightly big presence coming from Fulton to a smaller organization.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I can admit that about myself.
Yeah. And Fulton, given how many dogs they had, were still super progressive in their policies and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that didn't stop them from doing a lot of really progressive things.
Right. And we're just not as progressive here. So it was a hard wake up call when I moved back, and I was like, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? And I'm pretty sure I annoyed everyone.
Yep.
Because I'm like, well, we can do this, but why don't we do this? So, I mean, I was that annoying person. I'll look back 6 years ago, I was that annoying person.
I'm
But,
still that annoying person.
right? But, like, I wanted to see all the change. Like, I knew these things were possible. I knew these things could be done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I'd also spoken to the director of the shelter I'm at now, because we had a lot of friends in common because I was still very much in the dog world here. And she didn't have anything, but then 2 weeks later, she called me and said, hey, our adoption coordinator just gave her 2 weeks notice. You want a job? So I said, yes, please.
Okay.
So I took over. In the meantime, I had like applied for a job and interviewed at an insurance company, and I've never been so happy to not get a job. I would have been so miserable. Animal
There's
welfare
something
is
to
a
be
calling.
said about working for a cause and not working for like the man.
Right, right. I mean,
You
this is like
know?
calling. Even on the hard days, you still know you did a good thing.
Yeah, you're doing something that matters.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I started working at MADACC, which is Milwaukee Area Domestic Animal Control Commission, hence MADACC, because that's a
That's a
mouthful.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
As the adoption and foster coordinator, and I oversaw those two programs. When I started, I think we had about 150 cat fosters, and by the time I switched roles, I think we had about 400. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's huge. What did you do to get all those fosters?
talk to them. Like I was like, honestly, I was just very personable with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's people that I think that were ready to kind of switch gears and move to a different shelter, wanted to stay to see who the new blood was and how things were going. I just talked to them and like made them feel like they were part of the team because they were. And I think that was a huge thing. They could text me at any hour of the night. Did I have boundaries I should have set? Yes, there are boundaries I should have set. But I needed to integrate with these people and I needed them to feel that they were as important as they actually were.
Yeah, that's something to be said about people that say, "Oh, I'm in animal welfare because I don't like people." Well, it's really like you are not in the right business if that's the case,
Right.
because people are our business, really.
Right. You can't help the animals without helping the people. So,
Right.
I can't have people to help our shelter animals without talking to the people.
Right.
So, so that was good. And then just in October of what year are we in? 24. So October of 22, I switched over to the volunteer/community engagement coordinator. Our volunteer coordinator left, and it was just kind of a natural progression because I knew most of the shelter volunteers. I was already using the Volgistics database for all my fosters. I knew half the volunteers because they were my fosters. So it was just kind of an easy, smooth transition, and it's gone really well. And we're actually growing our volunteer database pretty rapidly as well. All my dog walkers are like, we need more dog walkers. And I said, well, I have them, but being in the shelter is really hard. It is a heavy place to volunteer.
Mhm.
And it takes a special kind of person. So, like, I can get 20 applications and maybe 5 of them are going to stick.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't think about it when you're, like, in the bubble of animal welfare, how intimidating sheltering can be.
Yeah.
As a member of the public walking in, wanting to volunteer and walking through those it can be really hard to see all that and,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
had a radio interview yesterday, and the guy had come to the shelter, and he was, I don't know, 30-something-year-old guy, and he almost broke out in tears in the kennel. And I'm like, it's okay. They're okay. Like, but it's very hard. I will tell you the strangest request that I had. So Stella and Chewy's, the dog food company, is based in Oak Creek, which is right not far from us.
Yep.
Big donor. They give us a lot of food and they're great. But they had some people from the distribution center in China come over because they wanted to see how the US operations work and brought with them 12 social media influencers from China.
Interesting.
Right? It was the
Okay.
weirdest request I've ever had. Super fun, very cool, but so weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Apparently these influencers are huge over there. So, 9 o'clock in the morning by us, it's 10 o'clock at night there, and they're like live streaming the shelter to all their millions of followers.
Wow.
And I was like, this is really weird, but okay. But I have never seen so many people cry so much. because they don't have anything like that over there. So it was very hard for them to see it. But, I had to remind them, I'm like, they're safe. They're cared for. They're loved. They will find a home. But it was
Yeah.
really eye-opening to see an entire group of people that had no idea what it was like in a U.S. shelter.
And then be like, oh my God, I'm so desensitized to this, right? You're like, okay, who's the strange one in this situation?
I was like, wait, you're crying? What? You want a hug? I can hug you.
Yeah, I had went into Horta Shelter when I was visiting my mom in Florida, and I was like, yeah, you can come on, but like, just so you know, there's gonna be dogs and kennels. I tried to explain to her, what it is, and she walked in and she walked right out. She was like, I can't
Yeah.
look at that. But I get it. I get it. Also, hi mom. I know you're listening. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
Why did you mom?
She's so cute every day. She's like, I'm just doing a puzzle and listening to your podcast. And I'm
Aw.
like, thank you so much.
I love that.
So throwing that out there. She'll be so happy to hear I said that.
Right. Hi, mom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
hard.
I think,
We're totally desensitized to it. Like it just, even, I mean, you've been to plenty of shelters, but the farm is so nice. Like,
yeah. I mean, we're super spoiled where we are at the farm, like, of course. But it's still hard. Like I'll go to other shelters and the big thing for me is like I can't show any emotion like while I'm standing next to the people that have to be in the shelter every day. Like I need to walk through. I can cry later in my hotel room if I'm sad, but like I just gotta move on. Like when we're like looking at dogs and stuff to transport. It can be really emotional, especially in like the larger shelters that are full and the cages are smaller. It's tough. It's really tough to see that even when shelters are like I'm not trying to like demonize some shelters. I know everybody's like working their hardest to get dogs out,
yeah.
but it is hard to see sometimes. But
Well, and I have to say, I'm used to being in the shelter, but it's got to be a completely different experience and hard for you to go through and like look at these faces and just pick some of them. Like I don't know how you do that. Like I don't think I would be cut out for that.
yeah, I think it's really hard, and I'm usually not the decision maker, so I'm sort of lucky in that regard where I can be like, "What about this dog? What about this dog?" Of course, I wanna leave with, like, 18 dogs, and then I'm talking to, like, our behavior team, and they're like, "Nikki, we can't take all the dogs," so I'm, like, making it harder on them at that point, but so that's good that you mentioned that. I'm gonna put that in my back of my brain and be like, "Okay, don't pressure them." I'm sorry. Cassidy and Ashley.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to take all of the dogs, and do something with them, and we can't. There's no
Right.
way we can, given the, Animal Farm's great, but there's not like a ton of spaces for dogs.
Right. You're so
And we
limited
have
as to what you can do.
right, and we're now going out to shelters and traveling a lot, so we also have to be cautious of like like what staff is going to be on property to take care of the dogs. We can't just like create a situation where the dogs aren't getting what they need on our property as well.
Right. Because then what's
So
the point of taking them?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but it
It's
sucks.
rough out
So
there
what
right
it
now.
gosh, I feel, I mean, everybody's dealing with an overpopulation of dogs,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that's all I'm hearing is we have so many dogs and it really sucks. I'm sure you guys are dealing with that as well.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's you can't even move them because everyone else is full.
Right.
We're very lucky that we have some shelters in Wisconsin that do pull from us, but it's getting a lot more few and far between because it's taking them longer to place the animals as well.
Yeah.
So I know it's rough.
So what is besides the volunteer part, what is the other community engagement part of your job?
I am the face of MADACC. No, I'm just kidding.
I love that. I do see your face on your social media all the time,
Yeah,
which is great. I'm like, "Oh, hi."
it's like
Hi, friend.
so I'm trying to get people. I'm bringing people in. So we're trying to get out in the community, like all of the. I don't just do they just police districts by you do like National Night Out? Is that a thing that anyone does?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay, so like every district, we serve 19 municipalities. So we serve A lot of,
Wow.
yeah,
I,
there's
I
a
didn't
huge one.
realize.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So my calendar in July and August is really ugly right now because like every single night there's National Night Out. So it is that the police put it on to bring out the community, and there's toys and games and all that kind of stuff. Since we service them, we want to be there. So I do all the community events, any of the media, the social media. In the last few months, we've started going to, there's 2 police districts that I work with right now and 1 health department, and I'm trying to get more police districts. Every other week, I bring a dog and we walk around the station and we hang out and we play, and people get to pet the dog and interact, and then they take a bunch of pictures and share it on their social media. So it's
That's
a
great.
really great partnership to try to get more out into the public, because West Dallas Police Department has a much different following than we do. So for them to then share the dogs, it has been fairly successful. So, and it's a lot of fun. And also I'm getting to know like the police officers in our community, which I
Oh yeah, and that's super important, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
Do you do anything with cats, or are you just mostly doing dog stuff?
Oh no,
I mean,
we
not
do
your organization, you and your position, obviously. No, we don't do any cats.
I do Feline Fridays every Friday. I do
Oh, cool.
so yeah, I do a live Facebook video every Friday morning of all the cats that are up for adoption in our lobby. It's funny, like I'm at the grocery store and people come up to me, they're like, "You're the Feline Friday girl." Like, that's weird, but yes.
That's so great, though. It means it's working, right? They're seeing you.
It's very weird to be called the Feline Friday girl at the grocery store. Yep.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of strange, but also, like, not for anybody listening right now. They won't think it's weird.
Right. It's working. It's working. People look forward
Yeah.
to it. I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, so like I literally the week before, and I'm like, I won't be doing it next week. I'm so sorry. Please don't come for me. I won't be able to do the video. Because otherwise people sit and they wait for it. So that's really fun. And we have noticed that adoptions, there is an uptick in adoptions over the weekend when I do the videos. So that's
Oh,
helpful as
good.
well.
Oh, good.
But no, we're
I was
domestic. So we do all dogs and cats, bunnies,
Yeah.
guinea pigs, rats.
I was just talking to our social media person who was saying she was reading somewhere that like people are not getting as much adoptions from like online searches anymore. And I'm wondering if you have any insight on that, like what's working the best for your organization to get those people in the doors.
So we have a Friends of group. So it's Friends of MADACC, which is a nonprofit because we're government. They do a lot of posting on social media. It's hard to get people in the door. We recently just started a new test drive program. So people can take a dog and basically test drive it for 5 days. It's a foster to adopt thing. And then if they,
That's such a good name though, because a lot of people are like foster. What does that, like outside of this
yeah,
bubble? So that's
yeah.
really great.
So
I love that idea.
it's funny you mentioned that. I actually took a class with Caitlin Quinn a couple weeks ago through Maddie's Fund, who I met because of the internship.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that, like what industry words mean to us, and then outside of our bubble, like nobody knows what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that Words Matter one that she did, right? I
This
did that
was
one too.
the communication marketing. I don't remember.
Oh, I don't know.
Communication
Oh, I
101
love
or
Caitlin Quinn
something.
though. She always puts on really amazing.
It was such a good class. We were talking, and she's like, "You look really familiar." And I was like, "Yeah, we met at Animal Farm." You did the Hartlund presentation for my internship.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so the test drive. Sorry, I get off on tangent.
That's all right. Me too.
The test drive, it is for Milwaukee County residents only because we're government. It has to be in our county in case an officer has to go pick up the dog. But that's been very successful to try to get dogs out. I think we've had about 25 test drives so far, and only 2 have come back as not a success.
That is great.
Yeah, and even if they come back as not a success, like it's still got the dog out of the shelter for 5 days.
Yeah.
We've got our Facebook page, we've got TikTok. I have recently started a MADACC adoptable Facebook page where it is public so that our dog walkers and our volunteers and things can post pictures there.
Nice.
It was not met with the greatest reception from my higher ups, but I'm going to continue doing it because I think given time it will be successful.
What was the concern?
Having multiple pages.
Okay. Fair enough.
multiple pages and a waste of time. And I said, well, the volunteers' time, and they want to do it because it's helping to get the animals adopted. So
Yeah, yeah.
we agreed to disagree on that one, but I am not getting rid of my page.
You can't make me.
Like, we're just going to
Well,
let it go for a little bit and see if it works.
and if the volunteers really love it, then they're going to be posting pictures that you can use on the on your like organization Facebook page. So,
And realistically, it's less work for me because I don't have to get them, save them, upload them. The volunteers can just upload them to the page. And people love seeing the dogs out in the real world. They
yeah.
love seeing the dogs at the park or at someone's house asleep on the couch or playing in the backyard. That is what's going to draw people in for adoption, is seeing them actually in real life on social media, not just in a kennel or in a back play yard at the shelter.
Yeah. Is there any like interesting activities that the volunteers do that you don't normally see in shelters? Like, I know there's like walks and town trips,
Well,
and I
yeah, I
think
mean, I don't think we have anything super different. I mean, we've got our dog walkers daily. We also have our Fido field trips. So that is
Mhm.
the day adventures, which also has proven to be very successful. I'm in Wisconsin, so our volunteers like to go to a lot of breweries.
Awesome.
there's there's a brewery not far from the shelter that is super supportive of us.
That's cool.
That's very dog friendly. So it's nice because they can go and take a dog and just hang out, and they meet other people there. We have little business cards that we write the animal's ID number on and names so that they can have it. And that's been really great. And it's also just a really great way for the volunteers to get to know the dogs more, to promote them better. We also have our weekend program, which I know a lot of shelters have, where a dog can go for a weekend from like a Friday to a Sunday. Right now,
Yeah,
our Fido
yeah.
field trip is only open to volunteers. I haven't quite broken. I'm not there yet, or I'm ready to let the public start doing it. I should be. I know I should be. That is just a barrier that I am putting up, but I'm just not quite there yet. But our test drive is kind of the public doing it. So
Right. Yeah. Going back to the breweries. Well,
we
one, I
also
love
love
that
breweries.
that allows people to like get word of mouth out and talk to the people at the breweries, and then they can go talk to their friends about the cute dogs that they met for adoption at the breweries. But also I wanted to say Animal Farm, we just made like generic coasters up that says adopt a drinking buddy with a little QR code on it. So and then we're just
Super cute.
through like Sticker Mule for like super cheap. And then you just like go to breweries or bars or whatever and are like, hey, do you mind using our coasters for a little while? They're free. We'll give them to you. And then that's like a conversation starter. I've gone back and had people like chatting about the coaster, and I'll like watch them scan the QR code. I'm like, yes, it's
That is a
working.
genius idea. I'm gonna steal that.
Please do. Please, everyone do. I will say when I was researching it, I did find on Google that some shelter in Hawaii also did it before us. So we'll also give them some credit as well. But
It's so hard because there's so many of us out there coming up with new things. Like, my brain is tapped. It is hard to come up with new ways to market and get our dogs and our cats in front of people.
yeah, yeah. That's why like I'm hoping more people will start, because we interview a lot of like experts in the field on the podcast, but I want more people like just to come on that have been in animal welfare for a while, that aren't like necessarily like writing academic papers on things, and are
Yeah.
just going to like talk about their day to day and what they're doing, so that everybody else can steal their ideas and we can all, only, be in our car on our way home for 30 minutes, listen to the podcast and be like, oh crap, I'm going to make coasters,
Yeah. No,
or
I'm
whatever it may be.
I'm
Have a
totally
dog
making
day
coasters
out,
now.
a test drive. So that's like my goal of this whole thing.
That'd be fantastic. I know it's funny, the
Yeah.
podcast that I did a couple weeks ago for it was like a school. It was PBS, but like the classroom, like there was one of the students that needed to do it.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
kept calling me an expert, and I was like, I feel a lot of pressure now. Like, I've never been called an expert on anything.
Well, you are an expert in animal welfare for sure. We all are, right?
Yeah.
But like you're doing the day-to-day stuff, which is really great.
Yeah. I will say in this role, I'm not with the animals as much anymore, and that makes me sad. Like, I love this role. I love being on the community. I just did a PSA with one of the police stations on fireworks at a park a couple days ago with a dog. Like, I love that stuff, but I do miss being with the animals more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be tough. I didn't even dress it, but Bernice is obviously not here right now.
I was wondering where
She
she
does her
was.
podcast. I was supposed to like lead with that, and then I it left my mind. But like last minute, right before we got on the call, she had some boss lady duties to attend to. So I was like, "Don't worry about it. I got it. I could talk to Kate for like 4 hours, so
Right. We're
we're
good.
fine." But she feels the same way now that she's an executive director of our organization. She's like, I do also want to touch dogs more,
Yeah.
please. You know,
But
it's
honestly, and
tough.
that's part of what I love so much about my Feline Friday is I get to interact with all of the cats that are up front. I'm like, I need this. Like, it's one of my favorite times of the week because I get to sit and pet them and play with them. And speaking of cats, as mine knocked over a picture frame, I came home to do the podcast because it's much quieter at my house than it is at the shelter.
I appreciate that for just like audio quality. I don't mind like a dog barking in the background every once in a while, but when we do the shelter recordings, it's like, okay, well, this is just how it's going to be for the whole round.
Try to listen very carefully to the words.
Yeah, I mean, most people are used to it anyway, but
Right. But yeah, that's why like I love my Feline Fridays, and I love that I get to take the dogs to the police stations because it's really like the only time that I get to interact with the animals.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I do love those times.
yeah. I was talking to somebody like 2 days ago, and I said I was interviewing you for the podcast, and she said that you guys do not do meet and greets at all. Is that like a rumor mill, or do you guys just not
We
do meet and greets?
we don't require it. We highly
Okay.
recommend it.
Okay. So that's
But
pretty normal.
yeah, I mean, we practice open adoptions. Well, you know,
Right.
you know what open adoptions are, but for anyone who's
Yeah.
listening who doesn't, you know, we don't call your landlord. We don't check your vet references. We base our adoptions on conversation and education and learning what's the right fit for you and matching you with the right animal. That being said, we do require meet and greets if there's a large size difference between the dogs. If
Yep.
you have a 120-pound dog and you want to adopt a 15-pound dog, we are going to require a meet and greet for that, or vice versa. Only because we've seen that go bad. I don't care what the breed is, we've seen that go bad with big size
Right.
differences.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we highly recommend it, but we don't require it. Coming to the shelter is scary for dogs. I don't like, they're never going to act the right way. It's not going to
Yeah.
be a true test of how they are. Will we see if they want to have a full out battle? Yeah, we'll see that. But I can't tell you that when they meet for 20 minutes that if it's going to be, you know, sunshine and roses or something else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and there's dogs that get car sick, and it's just, I leave it up to the owner. And if they
Yeah.
decide not to bring them, we counsel them on proper introductions and decompression and keeping them separate and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
how's open adoptions working out for you?
It was a challenge in the beginning.
Okay, so did they have like were they had closed adoptions in the beginning before when you first got there, would you say?
Yeah,
I don't know if you would call it closed adoptions, but
I know, but
that's what I'm calling it.
right? Yeah, no, we were checking property records to make sure you owned your house. We were calling landlords. I really think that's the extent of what we did. I don't remember ever calling vets or anything like that, but we called landlords and made sure people owned their house if they said they did. It's just so limiting. I mean,
Yeah.
it also is a waste of staff time.
Yeah. It
You know?
definitely is.
We can have an open conversation with people, you know. I don't feel, and everyone's like, it's the same thing with fee-waived adoptions. Everyone all gets up in arms about you're going to give them to the
Right.
wrong person and this and that, blah, blah. We are a government organization. I don't really foresee anyone coming into us, giving us their ID if they are there for nefarious reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they're not going to come to us to get a dog for a bad reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think because we've had a history in animal welfare of having more closed adoption type policies, people have learned to just lie anyway and give
Exactly.
you my friend Jesse's, name for my landlord and,
Right.
you
People are going to lie if they like.
or they're just going to go get a dog somewhere else.
Right. Right. I think our volunteers, had the hardest time adjusting to it. It did help that the local shelter around here had been doing open adoptions for a few years already. So we're like, well, this shelter does it. They seem to be fine.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit, but I really do think that it's been beneficial to
Yeah.
us, to the animals. Does it always work out? No, but it's not going to always work out no matter what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course not.
So I know, we are pro rehoming. If you need to rehome your animal, like I run our home to home website, um, there are a lot worse things than appropriate rehoming.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of shelters have moved towards that. I remember though when I first started where it was like, you have to bring your dog back to us.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, and
why?
right,
Why is that a good thing for the dog?
right, well, not the right thing. Well, and for us as a government, we are a stray holding facility. So people couldn't bring the animals back to us
Yeah.
because then it's an owned animal, so if it didn't work out, they'd have to contact their local humane society or something else, or rehome them on their own. We weren't taking them back. So like, why would we not then help them rehome?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
we're shooting ourselves in the foot because then these animals were coming in as strays. Well, if we had just helped in the process of rehoming, maybe we wouldn't have more dogs here.
So have you guys implemented like a retention program to help people now keep their dogs?
No. I would love to say yes.
One step at a time.
Right. We've got our home
Yeah.
level website, which we do refer people to, and we do, like, our adoption counselors are really good with they give referrals to trainers and things like that. And people are more than welcome to call and talk through things.
Yeah.
Um, but we still don't have anything like formal. I mean, we do work with Good Pup, which is an online training thing. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I saw that on your website and I don't know anything about it. And it was like, is it free training? I'm so confused.
So it's a free week trial. So it's all
Oh,
online.
okay.
It's certified trainers, but it's online, so you can do it at your own time. And we give a free week trial. And then our Friends of group had bought a handful of scholarships for us to give out. So if we knew that it was a dog getting adopted out that was going to require some extra training, we were able to give them one of the scholarships so that they could have like a 10-week training class for free.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
Is it goodpup.com.org? Do you know for the people?
I don't.
Just Google Good Pup. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Or just go to Milwaukee's website, which will be in the show notes. And
It's on there.
it's on the resources section. That's where I found it.
Yeah, that started
Yeah.
about a year and a half ago. So it's
That's
just
cool.
the scholarships were really huge because it's just the dogs that we loved, but we knew we're going to need more. This was not going to be a take home easy dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
That's cool.
we try. It's rough. It's like everywhere. It's just so full right now.
I know. I know. What about have you guys had any conversations about removing breed labels?
So we've made a little progress with that.
Okay.
There are a bunch of things. Again, I was that super annoying person in the beginning. There was a bunch of things that I was like, we can do this, we can do this, we can, like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
cheerleader walking in. We have gotten it to where it is now dogs are listed as mixes. So terrier mix,
Yeah.
lab
I
mix.
saw that. Yep.
It used to be everything that came in was a pit bull.
Yeah.
Every single
Well,
thing that came in was labeled as a pit bull, even like a chihuahua, because it probably had pit bull in it somewhere.
I mean, that they might not be wrong
Right.
based on the DNA I see coming in. I think there was one of the studies that was really great that just came out found that like the majority they did like DNA sequencing on 2,000 dogs. The breed they found most in all of the DNA they sequence was American Pit Bull Terrier. So like I mean, but that doesn't mean you label all your dogs pit bulls because once a dog is a mixed breed dog, it's not a member of any breed at all.
Right.
So but yeah, no, I saw that you were doing like mixes on your website and then I was like listening to your videos online and I know you're very good at being like, we have this brown brindley boy, he likes all these things. And I was like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, unless I can, and better than anyone, looking at a dog, you still don't know, but unless I look at it, I'm like,
Right.
this looks like a golden retriever. I'm
Right.
gonna call it a mix because I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And then how does that falling in with the breed-specific legislation that you guys have in Milwaukee with trying to get dogs out and labeling dogs and all of that?
So, in all honesty, and if anyone from neighborhood services is listening, please tune out. It's not enforced. It's really not.
Yeah.
We have the pit bull and Rottweiler ordinance class, I think, online that people can take.
Mhm.
Um, it just, I mean, people are still adopting pity mixes and not doing the things that need to be done. And the only time that there's ever a problem is if there's a complaint or the Department of Neighborhood Services has to get involved.
Mhm.
Then something has to be done, which is usually not the people who have gotten their dogs from us in the first place.
Yeah. So
Um,
you're not even requiring that they take that licensing course if they're adopting out a dog that the county would be considering.
no,
Okay.
every dog has to be licensed if they're in Milwaukee County, but it's not a
Sure.
different or special license for those breeds.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, I know you asked if we had tried, like, what we had tried to do to get rid of it, and I don't know that we have, um,
Mhm.
because if it was strongly enforced,
Yeah.
I think we would take more of a stand, but it's not.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like floating out there in the ether.
Yeah. But maybe now's like the time to do it before you get somebody else in
Um,
charge that's like, we want to enforce this now.
I think it's going to go the opposite direction when the
Good.
people that are there now leave.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
So kind of just biding time, in all honesty.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I
Things
was looking at the ordinance and I was like, this is a whole big mess of, crap, basically, what they're
like
what
this.
they're trying to
I know.
it was just very silly. Like I was like, I should probably read through this, but I don't even want to give it that much attention because it was so
Honestly,
ridiculous about the fencing requirements and the
I printed it
um
out because I needed to read it because I'm not even that familiar with it.
were you like, what the heck is
I was
this?
like, I know we have it, but like yeah, no, it's just not enforced. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, it's so
Sorry, Milwaukee
silly.
County, but it's dumb.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And if you want to know why, you can head to the BSL section of the National Canine Research Council's website and find out more about why breed specific legislation doesn't work. It's definitely not keeping your community safer. It's creating like a false sense of safety. I mean, I don't think I have to tell you this that, all dogs are individuals, right? That's
Right.
pretty basic stuff at this point. So hopefully you guys can get that moved on at some point down the road, but I'm glad at least it's not being enforced.
Yeah. Thank
Um
you.
oh man,
Yeah,
it's
no, I
tough.
mean, up until about a year ago, I mean, this is not BSL, but up until about a year ago, we were still doing dog on dog evaluations. So it took us a while to get past that.
Yeah, like on a leash.
Uh-huh. In
Yeah.
the back parking lot. They would just meet on a leash. I was
Yeah.
like, this isn't working.
Yeah. We just recorded an episode with Mike Caviani, and I asked him like, what's one thing you wish would be gone out of like protocols for animal welfare, and he was like, leash on leash introductions.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
I'm very happy we finally got rid of that.
yeah,
Took
that's
a lot
awesome.
longer than I hoped it would, but it's gone. So I'm at least happy about that.
Yeah, no, take your wins where you can get them.
Yeah.
What's going on with play groups? You guys got any play groups there?
We do not. They had some, I think, Dogs Playing for Life came well before I was there,
Uh-huh.
and did training. And then the staff dwindled.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not allowed to have volunteers run playgroups at this point. I'm hoping
Okay.
to get that, um, changed as well, but I think that's going to be a flight battle. So if we could have volunteers do it, we could probably have it done more often, but at government, they want the staff to do it. And
Sure.
realistically, we don't have the staff to do it right now, and all of the staff that was trained to do it is not there anymore.
Okay. Well, if
So,
it's helpful at all, I think Chicago Animal Care and Control's volunteers run play groups.
okay,
Pretty big municipal shelter. I mean, we could probably, or DPFL at least, will give you a ton of, if it's helpful for them to know, like, hey, this very similar situation, and they're having their volunteers run play groups.
yeah,
I don't know if that's helpful at all, but
No, it is. And I know it is on the docket of things to get back up and running.
yeah.
But I haven't really been involved in it because it's not a volunteer option.
Yep. Yep. Well,
So
hopefully. Yeah.
hopefully that'll change. I mean, our volunteers
Yeah.
are pretty busy with dog walking because once we got rid of our on-leash assessments, we're government. So
Yep.
we can't adopt out anything that shows signs of aggression. We can't adopt out anything with a bite history. Our hands are tied in a lot of things that make my heart hurt, but we're government and that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, and you have to jump through so many hoops just to get one thing
Yeah.
accomplished.
But
So
so when we stopped doing evals, our adoptable dogs skyrocketed. So the number of dogs that were available, all of a sudden, our walk list went from like 8 dogs on the walk list to like 50. I think right now we've got like 60 dogs on the walk list. My volunteers are very busy doing a lot of walking. We
Yeah.
do have a play yard out back that we used to use for play groups that actually now Friends of MADACC bought some agility equipment. So that's back there to kind of work the dogs out
Okay.
a little bit, and volunteers can
Mhm.
take a dog one at a time out to the play yard. But
Uh-huh.
I think play groups would be nice to get more dogs exercised at one time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys so no do you guys not do any formal evaluation there or just the leash thing?
We don't do any, well, we don't do any formal evaluation. Our medical director, our kennel manager, and our adoption coordinator kind of decide if they're going to be available for adoption. But really, it started right at intake. If we've got our green tags, our orange tags, things like that. If
Yeah.
a dog is fine at intake and can get full intake, it's a green tag.
Yeah.
It can go up for
Great.
adoption.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. And, unfortunately, sometimes things change
Yeah.
and the tag color changes and as behaviors start to show. But I think they
Mhm.
walk through a couple times a week and just kind of take a look at all the dogs to make sure. When I was doing adoptions, I physically went in the kennel with every dog that I was putting up for adoption because I was like, if I'm adopting this dog out, I need to be responsible and comfortable with this dog.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
that was also when we didn't have quite as many up for adoption.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a little easier, but no, there's no unless we know of a bite history or there is human aggression, we don't do any formal evals.
That's awesome because they don't really tell you very much. So
Well, no, trying to do an eval in a shelter is pointless. Like
right.
I always tell my volunteers at orientation, I was like, when we were doing evals, it was like trying to quiz a veteran with PTSD during a fireworks show and expecting him to get the right answer within seconds.
That's a really good or, I
Analogy.
can't. Analogy. Thank you.
I'm like, it's just pointless. Like it's not fair to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking in the last podcast about how like of course these dogs have some behavior stuff. They're stuck in they stuck in a kennel for
Yeah.
long periods of time, surrounded by dogs they can't touch. It's
Right.
very stressful.
Yeah. And we
So,
just within the last like month got enrichment up and running for dogs. So
oh good.
that's exciting as well. Friends of MADACC bought all the supplies, which was great. We've got like 1,100 toys. Because I also created a sign up sheet where like corporations and groups can sign up, pick up the toys and all the supplies, bring it to their office, do it there, and then drop it back off. So like for like a corporate volunteer thing, they can do it at their office if they want to.
So how are you promoting that? That's a genius idea.
Right now, I've just promoted it through our current volunteers.
Okay.
Sent out the link that way. Once I feel like I have a better grasp on it, we will
Mhm.
put the link on our website so that other people that aren't actual volunteers can sign up for it as well. But I know a lot of our volunteers have shared it with like their kids' teachers. And I
Yeah.
have a lot of teachers that are volunteers, so they want to do it with their classrooms, service projects, things like that. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited about that. I wanted to wait until I had all the supplies because I had a group, Northwest Mutual. They're like, we have 50 employees. And I was like, okay, well, I need to send you like hundreds of toys because one set is 150 toys. I can't just send one to 50 people. It's a waste of your time.
Right, right.
So kind of in limbo until I got everything that I needed before I could go live with it. So
Yeah. There's actually this group reached out to us that kind of coordinates stuff like that.
cool.
And they'll like if you can put on their website what you want. So like say it's just like creating enrichment toys, and then they advertise it to businesses, and then they pay like a fee to do it. So like not only are they doing free enrichment making toy labor for you, they're paying to do it. It's sort of like a like a team building activity for these large corporations to do this together as a team, so the corporations will pay for it. I'll send you the name of the organization. They reached out to us because somebody in our area was interested in doing like a team building exercise. So we posted our toy enrichment, like you kind of like put it as a package and then you put a fee on it. And I think we put like $500 donation, and she said that's too little. So I mean, yeah. Yeah. Well, because we're thinking about like large organizations, insurance companies, things like that.
Yeah.
That want to like do something good for, nonprofits at the same time. So yeah, I'll put it in the show notes, but I'll also email it to you too as well. So that it'd be a great way to advertise what you're doing. And it's free. You don't have to pay you don't have to pay the
they just do it
company anything. They just do it. I think they probably get a kickback from the corporation that's
paying the
they're
money.
setting up the thing. Yeah. But
interesting.
Yeah.
There's a market
and you're
for
such a
everything.
large area, you could probably utilize that pretty well.
Absolutely. I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get in at the Brewers Stadium because we're in Milwaukee. So I will say my brother works there, so I've got that in, and I'm going to start bringing a dog to the Brewers Stadium.
Nice.
Well,
do they let dogs in there, or would it just be like a thanks, bro, for letting me do this?
Kind of a little bit of both. Like they had a dog day there, which was for the other shelter, which I had some words with my brother about.
Okay.
But they do support us a lot. Like on the day of giving, they always donate to us. I don't know if you saw on Facebook, one really cool thing that happened was George Strait and Chris Stapleton had a concert at American Catholic Field for the Brewers, and Chris Stapleton and his wife donated $2,500 to the shelter. So I got to meet him as he handed me a big check.
Oh, to your shelter, not the other shelter.
No.
Okay, good. I was like, how mad at your brother are you?
It was to us. So
okay, good.
Got some points back on that one.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But it was so funny. I know it's not going to embarrass my brother because he doesn't get embarrassed. But like, I introduced myself to Chris. I was like, "Hi, I'm Kate. I'm this and that, blah blah." And after that, she's like, "What? Were you going to have a conversation with him?" I'm like, "Well, it's rude not to introduce yourself to people." Like,
yeah.
I was like, I just wanted to say hi.
It's not like you were like, "Oh my god, you're cool."
I'm like, we have the same mother. How did you not realize I was going to do that?
Oh man.
But yeah,
that's
so
cool.
That's another way I'm trying to get out in the community is do that. I'm kind of all over the place. I have a friend who works for a music theater who is super dog friendly. I'm super excited about this. Like, we're going to go to the theater and take pictures there with the dog. And then actually, when they have a run of Oliver next season, I'm going to bring an adoptable dog to be in the lobby during intermission.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you also pick a dog to be on stage for Oliver?
We're going to try. So there is the director or the whatever, I think the director of I was going to say shelter theater has a rescue dog that's with her all the time. So I think that'll be the dog of the show. But in the beginning, I think we're going to have like me or one of my volunteers walk across the stage with the dog as just like an extra.
Yeah.
And that dog will be the one that's available for adoption.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool.
I know, I'm excited.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. So yeah, trying to come up with new ideas.
You're doing a really good job. Like, that's many things you've said today. I'm like, have not heard before. So this is really great. Yeah. So I hope people will be thinking about, ways they can implement them in their own communities.
Yeah. There's so many ways. It's just, I can't tell you how many people don't know that we exist. I'm like, what? How do you not know we exist? Or a cat fight club, cat wrestle club behind me.
You're so cute.
Yeah. But I'm also trying, like, one of my main goals is to get our reputation better. For a long time, we had a horrible reputation. And 11, 12 years ago, it was well-deserved. Our bad reputation was deserved.
Wow.
We were a stray holding facility. We held dogs for 5 days. That was what we did.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I'm trying to do in the community is really get our reputation back to where it should be, because we've made a lot of positive changes and a lot of good things are happening. But people are have a hard time changing their mind on things sometimes once they've made a decision. Once they've made up their mind, it's hard to change it. Which, we all with BSL and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But not impossible.
Not impossible. No.
Yeah, yeah. And the more you say it, the more, little tiny, like peeling back a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Slowly
Well,
getting in there.
and I think, and there was one thing that I'd already been doing, but I learned from Caitlin's class. Another organization, another speaker had said, they need to see a face. The shelter can't just be a shelter. They have to associate. Like, it helps to associate someone with the shelter. So if I'm Feline Friday Girl at the grocery store, so be it, because then there is a face associated with the shelter and people connect more, I think, to that. So that's why, like, during my videos, I show cats and I show around and then I show myself and we talk, and I think it really has helped for people to realize that there actually are people there that are people.
Did that come naturally to you, or you were like, oh, or were you like, oh God, I gotta put my face on camera now?
No, that came naturally. It's weird. I used to be such an extrovert, and I'm pretty much an introvert now, but except when it comes to like the shelter stuff, because I love it. So
Yeah.
we had an event at House of Harley. They're huge supporters of us. We had an event last Saturday where they raised money for us. And the radio guy's like, hey, you got to come on the radio. I was like, okay. And I'm talking to one of the guys that works there. And he's like, I just can't handle this many people. I was like, I can't either, except for this type of thing. Like, if you were to tell me that I had to go somewhere and it was a crowded room of people that I didn't have anything in common with, oh, hell no. I want to be at home on my couch.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
about the shelter and trying to help get the animals adopted, I'm happy to do that all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't love doing it, but like, to your point, like, if it's helpful, then I'll do it. Like, if it's going to mean that a dog's going to get adopted, I'll put my, shy, introverted self aside and put on, I always say I'm going into extrovert mode now. Like, before I get behind my booth at a conference, I'm like, okay, here we go. You just kind of have to push through.
Yeah.
For the animals.
Well, I realize that I don't sugarcoat anything. Like, I'm just me. And I think that helps, because this is what you get.
Yeah, people like realness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I try to end on, not to put you on the spot, but I just started this like last podcast. This is just like the new random thing that I'm doing. If you could choose one like policy or procedure or whatever that every shelter should be implementing, what would you want it to be?
Oh God, there's a lot. I have to choose one?
Like the most important one that that's tough, but
that is tough. I would say breed labels. Getting rid of breed labels, I think, is huge.
Thank you.
But I also want to say, because we don't have it, I really think every shelter needs to have a TNR program. And we don't have it, because only 3 out of our 19 municipalities are on board with it. So we can't legally do it. And I think the only way that we're ever going to save more cats' lives is by having a TNR program. So that's a big one for me for cat. Like,
so you can't do it in the other municipalities because the other ones that you
it's technically illegal for us to do TNR, because the majority doesn't want it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's like a little workaround. Like, if this is a cat you've been feeding, you can quote unquote adopt it. It'll be microchipped to you. If it ever comes in, you have to reclaim it. But it's like a 1 cat limit.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough workaround.
Yeah. So it's hard. That is something that I really, really wish we could have. When I came back from the Best Friends Conference, I came back with like this giant book from Community Cat. And I was like, look at all this. And unfortunately, it's been collecting dust ever since, because it just was not. It's not that well, unfortunately.
So what are you guys doing with the stray cats?
If they're adoptable, they get adopted.
Okay.
And we do work with quite a few cat rescues to try to get them out. But if they're completely feral, we have to humanely euthanize, because we can't do anything with them.
Yep.
which sucks because they had a perfectly good life
Yeah.
before they came to the shelter.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not perfect, but they were getting by.
You're right. Yeah. They were
So,
fine.
TNR and breed labels. There you go.
Okay. And then on the flip side,
Yes.
what would be one thing that you wish that shelters would stop doing? I find this one a little bit more hard.
Sugarcoating shit. I wish they would stop
Sugar coating
sugarcoating it.
shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we use a lot of words to make everything seem better, but then that's not the reality when the animal gets in the home. I think we need to be a lot more open and honest with our adopters so that they have a realistic expectation of what they're getting into.
Okay. All right. Can you give me an example?
Like saying doesn't like to share his toys. Not, and it's my thing with groups that adopt out known bite histories or known aggressions, I guess is my thing.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
there is a known history of it, own up to it.
Right.
People need to not is protective of his toys, not bit someone the last time they tried to take a toy away. Like
Oh
obviously you're
God,
not
yeah. You gotta be
like
honest about that kind of stuff.
right. You're not gonna
Yeah.
lead with the bat. You know, like I even revamped like our cat adoption sheet so that it is more positive, but it's not lying about anything. You know, it's instead of wants to be an only cat, prefers to be your only child. You know, just like
Yeah.
I know I'm kind of talking in circles now. Like, don't sugarcoat it, but you also want to promote them, but realistically. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
Kind
that
of,
does
sort
make
of,
sense.
kind of,
Yeah,
sort
and
of.
you know who does a great job with resources on that is Heart Speaks.
Yeah, like
Um if you have like quirky dogs with quirky behaviors, that's like not great with kids. Like here are some ways to say it that is still saying
truthful,
it.
but
Yes.
yes,
But
I had
not
a
like go running for the hills.
right. I
Yeah.
had someone say to me the other day that and it was a volunteer that the dog gave her arm mouth hugs. And I'm like, the dog put its mouth on your like. Let's not call it a mouth hug. That's not
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of a running joke at the shelter now. We're like, oh, did you get a mouth hug? Like,
Yeah, because that to me means something very, very different than what she was probably saying. Like coming from like thinking about myself before I worked in animal welfare, like I had a friend whose dog would take your arm and take you for a walk, and he would just like put his mouth on
yeah,
your arm and take you for a walk, which that sounds like a mouth hug to me.
right.
I'm gonna assume that is not what was happening in this case.
I
So
guess,
that is sugarcoating, I would say.
yeah. I guess so. To go back to that question, what I wish shelters would do is realize that words matter.
Yes.
Words matter.
Yes.
Words hold power. Like, and
So much power. Oh my god, I could
be
just go and launch into a whole other discussion about this.
right. I know. Like, we have to
Yeah.
be careful with our words for us, for the dog, for the adopters, for like words matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And words that make sense to us might not make so much sense to adopters.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
guess I don't know if I answered your question about what I wish we would do.
I think you did. I think you did, and I think it was real. So I love that.
Well, that's one thing people never say about me that I'm not real.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure catching up with you.
No, it's so
Um,
fun.
is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that you guys are doing that you're really proud of that haven't brought up yet?
Um, no, we pretty much talked about everything. We got our test drive program and our foster and our weekender. One thing that I just want to say, because I know that you've had a lot of, as you said, a lot of experts on the show, and not a ton of shelter people, is that just be kind to yourself. We are all doing an incredibly, incredibly difficult emotional job. And we take everything home and we take everything to heart. And if you are working in a shelter or if you are a volunteer or a foster, like just please give yourself some grace and be kind to yourself and treat yourself well, because there's not a lot of us out there that can do this. And if we burn out, who's going to do it? And so you really need to just be kind to yourself. I see that with my volunteers all the time. They beat themselves up because they could only stay for like 3 hours to walk dogs. And so this row of dogs didn't get out. And it's like, but you did good. Like,
Yeah.
understand that you are a human and you are doing what you can, and this is not a problem that one person can fix. And there's the barking dogs.
Nice.
But just really just if you're in the shelter world or whatever, just give yourself some grace and be kind to yourself. Because I don't think many of us do that.
Yeah. And don't let imposter syndrome get to you. You guys are all experts.
Yeah.
I know I said that in the beginning, just doing a poor job explaining what I mean, but like we're all experts in our community on animal welfare. Like,
Right.
we are. So don't I struggle with it. We all struggle with imposter syndrome. So know that you are great and doing great things.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much again.